Hello. I do have a solution for the national debt. Now, it's a three-step process. Well, actually, three parts. One, stop the growth of the debt by stop feeding the beast the same food that's causing the beast to grow. Namely, Congress originated debt in the American bond. Sell the foreign debt instead. Here's what you need to do. Establish a change-up date where instead of having Congress originated debt sold through the Treasury auction room to our banks and our brokerage houses, to then turn around and sell to us, sell the foreign debt instead. The undercover of the American bond. That way, the banks and the brokerages can continue to buy them up as normal, to turn around and sell them to you and me for the profit as normal, and anything unsold each round, the Federal Reserve buys them up at the program half the face as normal, to then turn around and create dollars out of them. All proceeds gotten from auction you send through World Bank to then give to the foreign debt sellers under cover of the XDR instead of the dollar. That way, we can declare those dollars destroyed by conversion. It's a great way for World Bank to help you in a very important monetary process. That is monetary destruction. Even better than tax revenue and payback of debts owed in the private sector. It won't replace it, it'll just supplement it. That's just part one. Part two. Congress in 1913 thought that if they took the deal the bank offered, in other words, we loan to you the money, or let us create the money and we loan it to you, then they thought they were doing okay. However, that technically subjugated the entire law, believe it or not, the entire law and everybody underneath the law to the demand of the creditor, which is the bank. Now, this condition has been around for 97 years, give or take a few months. It not only makes us suffer, forcing us to use a greater and greater tax bite that the IRS must then take, it also ends up forcing us to lobby Congress for more and more deductions, credits, and loopholes, either taken legally or illegally, forcing revenue to always be lower and lower and lower. Which then turns around and forces Congress to have to keep selling more and more bonds because we keep demanding more and more protections through that bond because of the tax-free double your money plus a periodic yield guarantee. It's a vicious circle, and it has to be broken. The only way that you can do that is understand where exactly you've placed your Federal Reserve on the private side. It has 100% the power of a government entity wrapped up in a private corporation. Therefore, since it operates in your jurisdiction on the private side, Congress then can recognize something it can tax. Therefore, impose a tax on the Federal Reserve itself, no one else, so big that the only way that it can conceive of attempting to pay it would be to fashion a promissory note to submit to Treasury. It works like this. Treasury calculates the entire wanted federal tax bite, and that includes not only income taxes from the W-2s, the 1099s, and from Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare, without accounting for deductions. You take that tax bite that you wanted before people come with their deductions to chip away at that. You take that wanted tax bite, multiply it by anywhere between 100 to 250. I would say 100. And then take that whole amount, put it in a tax due bill, send it directly to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve, in turn, sends a promissory note saying, we need to borrow the money to pay this tax. And inside the promissory note, it says, we will pay back these taxes with toxic assets. Meanwhile, still it's in the promissory note, any interest generated set at anywhere between 1 to 2.5% will go back to the federal government to pay for its activity. That way, this promissory note is then submitted to Treasury and put in its vault as the backing the Federal Reserve makes for any payment, just like in UCC. Treasury then, in turn, will fashion a token that will represent the payment. And hand it over to Federal Reserve to put in its vault. The condition, therefore, is this. The money will not only be backed by your efforts paying back your debts, but now by Federal Reserve working along with you, taking toxic assets out from the economy to pay the loan back. That way, the economy can clean itself up from all the bad debt that accumulates as a natural byproduct of a debt-based monetary system. Therefore, government has the revenue it needs to be able to function without touching your wallet. More to come here in a minute.